Here,
put them all up there and she was talking to them or something, and I looked at every single one of them was going. They're all, she's like, can I get your attention? They're all,
yeah.
Because they'd never been there before. They're so curious. I saw that once before when my daughter was in 4th grade. The teacher took them to the mall in Sacramento to sing Christmas carols, and they were in the mall, and the mall had all those decorations, and they were going, joy. Ooh, bright lights. Squirrel.
I'll sing the bass class.
Is anybody not in the? Not in the choir? So it's Friday night at 7:30.
It would not.
Tim's not in it this year.
Oh wow, half of us are.
No, me.
Okay, Friday at 6:30 they're having a choral concert.
Friday night again. This is great.
Yeah. Wish I had something to do on Friday night.
Stop singing the choir.
Right?
I'm not one of the birthers who's on Obama's case. I just thought it was funny that he said, I've got important matters of state to take care of. And then he goes on Oprah.
Yeah.
Right after that, he hops on Air Force One and he goes and appears on Oprah. That, at least you could go prevent World War III or something. They're going to use a line like that.
Well, they showed it apart from that. George Douglas movie or whatever.
We're looking at 227. We're looking at this Bach piece of clef. What do we just looked at the soprano and we ran out of time. We were in B flat major. We figured that out. The alto's in alto clef, tenor's in tenor clef, soprano's in soprano clef, which is not used anymore. As you can see, the soprano clef uses ledger lines, so the treble clef is actually better. So using a treble clef would bring the note heads down a third. So each space would be down the third below. So that's another way you could read this. The other day I talked about the fact that if you wanted to read this, you could use the relativity of the scales and keys by covering up the clef and the key signature and imagining treble clef, D major, and you'd get the same solfege, the same relative. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi. Or you could imagine a bass clef in the key of F major, and it would be so do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi. But I also mentioned that wouldn't work if you were an instrument playing notes and you really needed to play a C, like trying to play it on a flute or something. So if you were playing it on flute, you could imagine the note heads down a third. So that first note head, imagine a treble clef. Let's see, we need down a third. So imagine a treble clef. That's an F. So if we think of it down in the bottom space instead of second last space with a treble clef, that would be an F. And we'd be in the same key, B flat. So can you think down a third like that? That would put the first two notes being F, B flat. Try it. Let's see if we can let's say the names of the notes in rhythm. So when we get to the dotted note up there, that'd be A, E, B. In rhythm. 1, 2, 3. F, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. Yeah, it is E flat, just check. So, second full measure, ready? F, E flat, D, G, F, E flat, D, E flat, C, B flat. So you see how that one works. Groups that specialize in Bach or something, a lot of them may actually use this clef just to kind of put them closer to Bach. Who's the guy? Sir Christopher Hogwood. He has made several recordings of classical music. Everything has to be authentic. So, for example, if they're doing a Bach, no one can use a violin or viola or cello that was made after 1750. They all have to use antique instruments. And they tend to kind of read off what Bach wrote rather than something that's been edited. And then he kind of edits it as it goes. He's an expert on Bach, by the way. And he does Bach and Handel and Vivaldi, like Baroque stuff. If you ever get a chance, Christopher Hogwood.
What do they call that when they use the original instruments from the period?
Period music.
Period.
Concert. No, it's all that.
Period instruments, period performance, period. And I haven't checked, but I'm sure they use only recording studios built before 1750.
And tapes.
Yeah, tapes made. Before 1750.
Yeah.
But has anybody ever heard, not just Christopher Hogwood, but any period instrument recordings? I think, I always recognize them from the tone quality of the violin, because they're usually using a gut instead of wire strings. And it has a kind of a, I'm going to say buzzing, a little bit of a buzzing sound to it. It's quite different than a metal string. It's not as loud, it's much warmer, but there is a quality that's, I don't know, almost a beehive, a real super soft beehive of buzzing going on. And at first that kind of annoyed me when I heard it, and then when I heard those were period instruments, I listened again, and I got used to it, and I kind of enjoy it now, because it's really how I can tell if they're period instruments. But the flutes, for example, they don't have the vane flutes. They have the flute à bec, which is more like a recorder. And then late in Bach's life, they had the transverse flute, but it wasn't vane. It wasn't the one where you push a key down here and it closes a hole up here. That wasn't until the 1800s. So they used only the period instrument. So I did read a little about that, and the flute players playing these older flutes, they're always fighting the intonation. The reason the vane came about, you can play better in tune with those. But they just had to be like somebody who was living in 1740 and fighting the instrument, having to lip up certain notes to get it to lip down other ones to get it to.
Well, the people at the period when that flute was there, they had to know that they were fighting the intonation.
Oh yeah, they
You
did.
know?
Yeah, they were doing the best they could. I mean, those were the best instruments they had. But, yeah, they did. And a lot of times the strings would slip into kind of the nature's tuning rather than this, especially if they weren't using a keyboard. But if you ever do get a chance to listen to some of these, they are, in a way, very refreshing. My favorite is Christopher Hogwood's The Messiah. So I never realized this till I heard his recording, and I thought, well, I only hear like 12 people singing, or it was something like 3 people per part or something. And the orchestra seemed really just like 12 instruments or something. And then I looked at the score. That's exactly what it's scored for. It's this tiny little, it's timpani, trumpet, strings, violin, viola, cello, two violin, viola, cello. I don't think it has a bass in it. And there are probably 2 or 3 from each part. So it's like 12 to 18 people in the quote-unquote orchestra, and